Had to bring it inside today because it is so wet out there, but spoiler alert, this video is going to contain some things you're not going to like to hear, but we need to talk about why new drivers are so expensive. Now let's let the elephant in the room out right away, and that's a fact that golf equipment prices are rising everywhere. We've just emerged out the other side of a pandemic. Golf as a sport has emerged as a hero in that time. It's outdoors, it's healthy, it's safe, and millions more people are playing it now than ever before. Do the big golf companies see this? Of course they do. And a rising tide floats all boats. Adding a little something on top of a driver price in the midst of rising world inflation will be tolerated by the market. But luckily there's much more to it than that, much less frustrating stuff. So let's talk about it now today. For those of us who play golf regularly and regularly experience the utter frustration that comes from missing fairways, losing balls, or just being downright much shorter than our playing partners with our driver, we're always looking for something better, something longer, something straighter. We take the game so seriously, and as such we're willing to pay the expense that comes with having something better than we have already. Luckily, the big golf manufacturers out there, they're constantly trying to provide that something better for us. They're locked in a constant battle, if you will, against each other as brands, against themselves actually to improve their drivers. They're also against golf's governing bodies to push the limits on every new driver. They are entrenched in a never-ending war to capture our imagination and our money in exchange for a driver that will make us happy. And to be fair, we, the golfers, are most certainly the ones benefiting from those wars. Now in this current series of driver videos, and we'll link to them all below, I talked in one about 5 things modern drivers have that older ones don't. And the difference, even over a short period of time, is staggering. We talked about how carbon technology is advancing rapidly, the emergence of better materials and multi-materials for that matter in drivers, more adjustability, better manufacturing tolerances, artificial intelligence, and much more. And all those things, they cost money, a whole lot of money, and that is passed on to the consumer. To the men and women working in driver research and development, my hat goes off to you guys, because it must be up there with the most stressful jobs there are, always under pressure kind of to find something new, something brilliant, something game-changing, whilst at the same time having one hand tied behind your back by the RNA and the USJ to be within the limits. The best ideas come from the best minds. They all have to be paid, patents have to be filed and protected. It's a really expensive business. Reminds me of a story actually. I once met a guy, no names here. He actually worked, would you believe, in the movies. He wasn't making a lot of money, but he was also a hobbyist engineer who loved golf. And in his shed one night he had this brilliant idea for a golf club. It was so good that he put all his money into patenting the idea. And of course he produced the club then, but nobody noticed in the golfing public the club, and it flopped really. $250,000 the guy invested in the design patent, and 200 other similar designs in case anyone tried to copy his original one. But the poor guy lost the lot, and he had moved on with his life until some years later, one of the big golf companies, won't say who, they noticed the patent, they saw how clever it was, and they wanted it. And because they wanted it so badly, they paid our poor hobbyist engineer guy very handsomely indeed to buy his idea and make it their own idea. And down the chain, you may have well have bought one of those golf clubs, and you will have paid both the company and our formerly poor hobbyist engineer back their money. That's just how it works. But back to the pressure in the R&D department and the marketing department, actually, for that matter. And let's just take Titleist as an example. They release a driver every 2 years. It's a really simple system to give themselves 2 years to make something better for you than you bought 2 years ago, and to convince you of that. They have to prove to you that their next driver with new or better materials performs better in testing. They have to find and pay the best performance partners and suppliers of the day for things like shafts and grips. Actually, in their current driver, they've even partnered with a new company, Allegheny Technologies, to produce and supply a better performing face than ever before. And then they have to assemble everything. It's mostly done in Oceanside, California in the USA, and all that costs money. I've been in these assembly factories, and the scale and the amount of labour, well, I found it staggering. Then there's the convincing part, the adverts on telly and social media, getting the newest drivers into the hands of your Rorys, your Rams, your Brysons, and or even the biggest cat of them all. I can't wait to see actually what driver he'll return with. I hope he does return Tiger Woods. Like, having the best players on your books costs money. Phil Mickelson winning the PGA at 50, hitting bombs. He could walk straight into Chip Brewer, the CEO in Callaway. He could throw the trophy down on the table and name his price. And we all have to pay a bit of lefty's wage if we want to hit bombs on Sunday with a driver like his. Well, a right-handed version, but you know what I mean. I think our good friend from Cobra, Tom Alsavsky, he also put the cost of a brand new driver into perspective when he said, it's important to fish where the fish are. And what he meant by that is that the big golf brands, they're not really interested in making cheap entry-level drivers. The occasional golfer just won't spend big money on a club that sits in a shed all year, whereas the serious golfer is invested in his or her equipment. It's in the big golf company's interest to bring top quality products to market because that's where the money is. That is where the fish are. That's not to say that entry-level drivers haven't increased in price too. They certainly have. As I said in the intro, everything has gone up. But it's not all doom and gloom regarding price, and there is an alternative if you have a lower budget. First, regarding price, over the last 5 years, the recommended retail price, as they say, or the RRP set by the big golf brands for their new drivers, has for the most part hovered between the £450 to £500 mark. Just taking TaylorMade as an example, the Sim 2's RRP of £449 is actually a tenner less than the original M1's RRP of £459 from 5 years before. Callaway is very similar. Their current newest offering, the Epic Speed, has an RRP of £499. Over 4 years, the price compared to the original Epic has increased by £30. Secondly, and cards on the table here, and an unashamed plug for what we do at Golfbidder, I've just spent the entire video telling you why brand new drivers are so expensive, while we have made a business out of bringing you the same drivers pre-owned and or nearly new for a fraction of the cost of new. Now, we explained in the previous video how advances year on year can be very slight, and we're constantly explaining in our videos why used drivers are often better on the pocket for pretty much the same technology. Our great friend at TaylorMade, actually, Brian Basil, who's now the VP at TaylorMade, actually, he's the guy in the videos with Tiger roars and DJ handing them the clubs. Well, he once told us that new drivers are like new phones. Year on year, you'll hardly notice the upgrades, but if you haven't changed your phone for 5 years or so, you'll definitely notice the improvements. That's why they do it. We're all buying drivers on different cycles. Some of us change every year, others every 5 years. We're all different. Let me finish by saying again that brand new drivers are expensive, and that is a fact. When a new product comes out, expectations among the golfing public are high. And of course, there are also advantages to buying a new driver over used. And in the interest of fairness, I will look at those in the next video. But always remember, you have the best of both worlds here on Golfbidder, new and pre-owned, something to suit absolutely every budget. Again, this is just one video in our new driver series, so make sure to subscribe to the Golfbidder YouTube channel to check out the others. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. It means a lot to us to get likes and stay up to date with the very latest on Golfbidder Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For me for now though, it's Donal, out.